everyone, it's Hose, and in today's video, it's time to finally sort out the Miraculous Ladybug Timeline. I know it took a while, I can't remember when someone first asked me to do this. I definitely want to say someone asked me towards the end of season 5, and I did promise I would do it, and it has taken me a while. I've been working on this video for longer than I care to admit.
It's been 84 years.
I'm just kidding, it's taken me like 5 months of my life that I will never get back. It did feel like a while, but do not worry, I also learned how to crochet at the same time. Editing Haze, put a picture on the screen of something I made. So there you go, that's what I did when I was rewatching the episodes, taking notes and crocheting at the same time. So as I said, I put a lot of hard work into this video, and I'm sorry if I'm glancing down, but I have the whole script of the video. Yeah, I scripted the entire thing, that took a while too, and also the calendar I also made for this, so I'm sorry if I'm looking down, but what I'm saying is more important than how I look whilst I'm saying it, so listen rather than watch. But anyway, so as I said, I put a lot of work into this video, but I just want to say 3 things before we start. Firstly, I am pretty sure that Thomas and the wider team did not care about the timeline when they were putting the show together. They just did whatever they wanted. They just put episodes happening one after the other, not caring how they fit together really, in terms of days of the week and stuff like that. So as a result, it is basically a mess, and I am aware that I am trying to make sense of something that I don't particularly think was ever meant to be made sense of in the first place, if you catch my drift. So I don't particularly think there is a right or a wrong answer to the timeline of the show. I definitely think there are some things we can all agree on, like Risk, Strike Back, Evolution, part of Multiplication, Destruction, and the Reverse. They all happen, you know, one after the other. They all happen on the same night, otherwise known as the night from hell. I don't know how they all managed to go to school the next day. I would have needed a solid week to recover from the trauma, let alone the physical exhaustion. But while, like, for example, that night, there are things we can agree on, I don't believe there is a right or a wrong answer to the timeline. There are definitely some things we can get right that we know for certain, but not everything. So I don't believe what I'm about to present to you is the definitive timeline of Miraculous, largely because I don't even think, if you ask Thomas Astruc, I don't even think he would have a correct answer, because even though he might say the production order is the correct order for chronological order, he would be wrong to say that, because we all know Origins has the production code of 122 and 123, so episodes 22 and 23 of season 1, but chronologically we all know those 2 episodes take place before every other episode in the show, and there are loads of other inconsistencies throughout the show that point to the production order not being the chronological order. So there's no right or wrong answer to it, so don't worry if you disagree with me where I've put some episodes, and also massive apologies to anyone who has a headcanon of Marinette or Adrian or whoever being a certain star sign. I have not taken zodiac signs into account here, so I'm sorry if Marinette or the other characters don't fit with the zodiac sign you think they are based on their behaviour. But if it's not their sun sign, maybe it's their moon sign or their rising sign or something else. But even so, I am apologising now because they absolutely have not been taken into account. All the information in the episodes and what doing this has done to my state of mind has been taken into account, okay? Secondly, the structure of the video. The next part will be like the ground rules of the video and explain to you the decisions I've made concerning the timeline. It might be a little bit boring, but it's very, very important for you to be able to understand the rest of the video, so please watch it. The section after that will be showing you where I've placed each of the episodes and why. I've made like a little calendar, followed by a list of birthdays and events like Valentine's Day, and we'll end with me suggesting where I think all the Mr. Pigeons could have been. Why? Because I hate myself, apparently. And also, this video will contain spoilers for the whole show, and by that I mean seasons 1 to 5, as well as a New York special, Shanghai special, Reverse special, Environmental special, and the Christmas special, as well as the video game Rise of the Sphinx, which is canon, which don't worry about if you haven't played it, because I don't recommend it. It wasn't very good. But if you want to see what happens, I did a full playthrough and I will link it down below for you. Or if you don't want to watch me play video games, Cartoon Apocalypse did a whole live stream of the whole thing. I don't know how I managed to play it in one sitting. There are other creators who have done the thing the whole way through, so go and watch one of them if you care, but honestly, I don't particularly think it's necessary. I don't think it's that interesting or good of a game. I have also not taken into account the videos on the official YouTube channel either, you know, the ones where it's like Gabriel from Natalie's perspective. While I believe the views expressed by, for example, Natalie in that video are canon, they include a lot of flashbacks and just clips in general to episodes, and I don't feel they have a bearing on the timeline of the show, so I have chosen, rightly or wrongly, to ignore them. I think those videos, in my opinion, are just used for extra content for the official channel, so those videos will not be mentioned, they have not been taken into account. And let's also mention here the extra scenes shown in the end cards. So for example, at the end of Anansi, it shows Nora ice skating with Nino. I doubt it's the same night as Anansi happens, as in like after the events of the episode that night, and to be honest, I have no idea when it happens, but that's not to say I don't think it's a canon event, but things like that I don't really think impact the timeline too much. Like Nino and Nora can go ice skating whenever they like, I don't care. I don't think they impact the timeline, so they're not included in this video, but feel free to disagree with me on that. And some end cards don't depict an extra event at all, like for example the end card of Miracle Queen just kind of summarises what happened in the episode and there's no extra events. So end cards have not been taken into account. There will be no spoilers for the movie though, so don't worry if you haven't seen it. It's not canon, it's set in its own thing. And if you're wondering about the timeline, it starts just after the school year in September and ends before Christmas. Everything you see in the movie happens in chronological order, with the exception of the flashback to Gaby Baby getting to the Butterfly Miraculous, which seems to happen at some point before the events of the movie start. Other than that, everything you see in the movie does seem to be in the order which it happens. As you see, it is the order which things develop. If you're confused by the timeline of the movie, I would just recommend watching again. You'll have a good time. Everything you see is the order in which it happens. And thirdly, I never ask this, but this is the video that by far I have put the most effort into, and probably will be the only video I ever put this much effort into. I think I might have put more effort into this than my PhD, which if you're wondering, yes, I have submitted my thesis, but my Viva hasn't taken place yet. So no, you can't call me a doctor, but hopefully soon if I pass. But I would really, really appreciate it if you are subscribed already to like and comment this video, and if you're not, to please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Like I said, you will know if you've been watching me for any length of time that I never ever ask that. I'm just like, everyone knows how YouTube works now. People don't need to be prompted to subscribe. If they like a video and like the creator enough, they will just do it. But because of all the hard work I have put into this, I would really appreciate some engagement on this video, and this will probably be the first and last time I ever ask that. So yeah, thank you if you do one of those things. So go get a drink, go and get a snack, get comfy, because I have a feeling this video is gonna take a while. So let's start. Okay, so I've put the show as happening from 2015 to 2016. In France, the academic year begins in September and ends in July, which is pretty similar to a lot of European countries, including where I am from in the UK. I know some countries start in September but finish a lot sooner than July, and some schools in other countries go back very late August. And I know a lot of Asian countries, the academic year begins in April. So this timeline is September to December 2015 and then January to July 2016. As we know, this whole thing takes place over one academic year, aka the worst year of their lives. Like, this thing is jam-packed, and we do sneak into August for the post-wish scene and recreation. As we're told, it's a few days before the school starts back up again for the new academic year, but otherwise everything else takes place within one academic year. Now, why have I chosen 2015 to 2016? In Feast, we find out that the temple was destroyed in 1844, and we also find out it's been 172 years. 1844 plus 172, 2016. And Feast ends up happening after December in the academic year with my timeline. And the other reason for those years is because Marinette states her Chinese zodiac sign is Snake. And if Feast is set in 2016, the only year she really could have born in to be that sign is 2001, which when the show starts in 2015 will allow her to be 13. And spoilers, I put her birthday as the 13th of December, so it happens before we hit 2016. She turns 14 before the new year. So those are the reasons I chose 2015 2015 and 2016. While the show does bear a lot of similarities with our world, it is not the same world. It happens in the Quantic universe, and they have access to a lot of technology that we do not have, like the Alliance rings and the holograms that go with them. We don't really have that, and if we do have it, it's not accessible to everyone just now. So I haven't used the state of technology to work out the years, since it's not set in our universe anyway, so it doesn't matter. Hence why also the events of the COVID special will not be used in this video, because COVID does not exist in Miraculous. That video for the COVID special was just to teach children about washing their hands and staying safe. It's not canon, which is a damn shame because it was absolutely hilarious.
You're so good at sneezing, Adrian.
So there are 5 seasons over the course of September to July, with the exception of the post-wish scene in August. So after I found out the French academic term dates for 2015 to 2016,
which is the 1st of September 2015 and the 5th of July 2016,
I mean, a confirmation and recreation the last 2 episodes of season 5 take place on the first day of the summer break, so they happen on the 6th of July 2016. Which, side note, I found out in French, the summer holiday, the summer vacation, it's called les grandes vacances, the big holiday. That's so cute. I wish we called ours the big ass holiday.
Anyways.
So the show takes place over 11 months, like I said, with the exception of the post-wish scene from September to July. So I divided 11 by 5, which is 2.2. So that means each season is 2 months with 1/5, which is roughly 5 or 6 days. So each season gets given 2 months and like 5 to 6 days to do its thing. Now for season 5, I have tried to keep the episodes in production order with the exception of action, as that takes place before Chloe becomes mayor in Collusion. And also the cluster at the start that includes the Reverse special and everything's like a little bit mixed up. I have also tried the same for season 4, but from Optogami to Wishmaker it kind of becomes impossible. The reason why is because I basically decide which episode goes where based on whether or not the kids go to school. So episode at school with classes happening, it's a Monday to Friday. If there are no classes being taught, then it's a weekend or after school. A lot of the episodes that aren't at school can very feasibly take place after school depending what happens. Although I have made the school open on weekends and honestly just all the time for Adrian to go fencing and other activities. I don't know if this is a thing in France, but the timeline cannot work over 1 year, over 1 academic year, if the school is not always open, even if there are no formal classes being taken. DuPont is always open, it has to be, it will not work otherwise. The reason why it becomes a mess in season 4 though, is because Glaciator 2, Senti Bubbler, Haxan and Wishmaker all take place on the weekend. And not the same weekend either. They are 4 different weekends because of what happens if we find out they're not the same weekend. And further complicating that is Senti Bubbler is 14, Glaciator 2 is 15, Haxan is 16 and Wishmaker is 18. That would mean we'd end up with like 3 weekends with the weekdays nothing happens and waiting until the weekend for something to happen. And there just wouldn't be enough time left in the academic year for season 5 if I didn't fill those weekdays. So I've put the opening of Wishmaker, which happens on a school day, and Rocketeer and Optogami in around them, so we have enough days to spare and to keep the Rena Rouge / Rena Furtive storyline in the correct order. And this also meant I had to shove in Dearest Family between Kuroneko and Penalty because again, there weren't enough weekends available. However, for seasons 1, 2 and 3, the order of the episodes don't matter quite as much with the production order, but also there are other rules for those 3 seasons. So for season 1, as long as you start with Origins and end with Volpina, you can feasibly put the episodes in any order you like, although Eve Illustrator has to come after Lady Wi-Fi and Stormy Weather, as they are both in Nathaniel's comic in the opening. Gamer has to happen after Darkblade, because in Darkblade Marinette makes her diary box thing, which she uses in Gamer. Pixelator must happen before Guitar Villain, as Marinette makes Jagged Stone the sunglasses in Pixelator that he uses in Guitar Villain, he's wearing them. The Puppeteer must take place after Lady Wi-Fi, Eve Illustrator and Roger Cop, as Marinette has made the dolls of those Akuma villains that Manon plays with. Other than those rules, you can put the season 1 episodes in any order you wish, because luckily for us, most episodes of Miraculous do not reference each other, which does make some of this easier, but also some of it more difficult because then I don't know what order things go in. The same goes for season 2. You must open with the Collector as it opens with the end of Volpina, and you must end with Heroes Day. Other than that, both Sapatis and Anansi must take place before the 3 Queens battle episodes, so Style Queen, Queen Wasp and Maledictator, as at the party at the the end of Maledictator, Nino mentions both Rena Rouge and Carapace, meaning those two heroes already debuted in Anansi and in Sapites. Siren, Reversa and Captain Hardrock also have to take place before Frightening Gale, as Luca, Mark and Ondine all appear in Clara's music video shown at the end of the episode. Befana must also happen after Style Queen and Queen Wasp. Maledictator can take place after or before it doesn't matter, it's not important to Befana, because when Adrian asks his dad permission to go to Marinette's birthday party, he says, "She made the hat I modelled." So Style Queen and Queen Wasp, because they happen on the same day, both happen before the events of Befana. And other than that, the episodes can be in any order you like. And lastly, the same goes for season 3. It must open with Chameleon and end with a Miracle Queen. Stormy Weather 2 must take place after Chrismaster, as the episode contains a flashback to it. Party Crasher and Ikari Gozen must happen after Feast, because the events of Feast means Fu is in hiding, hence why he's in weird places with the Miracle Box. But Ikari Gozen comes first because he explains to Marinette in that episode why he's at the cinema, and she isn't as surprised to see him with the Miracle Box in the cooler in Party Crasher when she sees him. Annie Maestro must also take place before Ikari Gozen, since Marinette and Kagami become friends in Ikari Gozen but are definitely not friends in Annie Maestro. Stormy Weather 2 also must take place after Annie Maestro, as Stormy Weather 2 Chloe references Marinette's feelings for Adrian, which Chloe only finds out about how Marinette feels in Annie Maestro. Star Train and Desperado must also take place before Party Crasher, so Luca and Max can have their hero debut. Bakerix must also take place before Party Crasher and Gamer 2.0, as Pegasus borrows the radio from Roland in Party Crasher and Bakerix is in Max's game in Gamer 2.0. And speaking of Gamer 2.0, Desperado and Were Dad must also take place before it, as they are also in the game too. Bakerix also mentions the opening of the Star Train, so Backwater and Star Train must take place after it, as the Star Train is up and running in those episodes. Backwater also needs to happen before Feast and before Fu has gone into hiding, which he does at the end of that episode, and the events of the video game Rise of the Sphinx must take place before the end of season 3 and after Miracula and Star Train, which are arguably the last 2 episodes before Chloe's redemption ends, as well as happening after Party Crasher, as Party Crasher is referenced in the video game. Other than that, the season 3 episodes can take place in any order you like. The New York special is also confirmed to take place at the end of season 3, which is confirmed by Lucanet and Adragami being a thing, which is a thing that makes me want to throw up. And the Shanghai special is also set at the end of season 2, despite the animation error of the Eagle doll. You all know where the Reverse special goes, but we'll get into the exact details of that when we get to the start of season 5. The Christmas special is confirmed to take place at some point in season 2. As far as any flashbacks to the past are concerned, they are not going to be any of our business, whether it's as far back as Master Fu committing arson in Tibet, Gaby Baby and Emily making a Senti baby, or what happens in the previous school year as we saw in Derision. It's none of my business, we're just going to be focusing on the current school year, but if you want me to do a follow-up video where I discuss things that happened prior to the show, we can totally do that, but for the purposes of this video, just the single school year that starts in Origins and ends in Recreation. Well, technically ends before Recreation. You know what I mean? And related to that, for Cat Blank and Ephemeral, they are only entered into the timeline for what still happened and not what was erased. So for example, Cat Blank literally takes place over 5 minutes one afternoon if you get rid of everything else. And the final ground rule is about the year at large. So I've said it takes place from September 2015 to July 2016. One academic year. But other than Christmas in Santa Claus and the start and end of the academic year, I have not taken any other yearly dates into consideration, so Valentine's Day, 14th of February, Galette de Roi on the 6th of January, and St. Athanasius Day on the 2nd of May. Those events and those days do all exist in the Quantic universe, but they do not take place on the same dates as on our universe. You already know Dark Cupid happens in September, not February, which is Valentine's Day. So those days and events all still happen in that universe, but not on the same dates here, because it's in a different universe to ours. Which is why I've told myself in order to keep my sanity intact, and you should do the same. Also, I have not been able to really give the kids breaks, holidays from school, apart from the summer break at the end of season 5. So I'll put that screenshot up again of the school dates. So Paris, according to the map, is zone C of school dates. So all schools in France share the same return and end to school, but the rest of their term dates differ. They are supposed to have breaks, but there was no time for it unless the plot says so it happens. So like in the Shanghai special, it's a break, Queen Banana and Mr. Pigeon 72. So just let me rant for a quick second, because this is annoying. So Truth and Lies. they're in school. Gang of Secrets, school is open. But then in Mr. Pigeon 72, Marinette's like, oh, it's spring break.
Now that we're on spring break.
But then Psychomedian, back at school again. Furious Fu, I don't know, a weekend. Soul Crusher, Zoe, first day at school. Queen Banana, they're on vacation again. That's what they say. So spring break in Mr. Pigeon 72 is only one day. And before anyone says, oh, well, maybe Mr. Pigeon is the same spring break as Queen Banana. No, it can't be, because Marinette gets a new Lucky Charm suit in Mr. Pigeon 72, and we see her use it in Soul Crusher, and Queen Banana can't happen without Soul Crusher happening, because Zoe needs to arrive in Paris in order to be in Queen Banana. So it has to happen before Queen Banana, and Zoe also starts school the same day she arrives in Paris, so therefore spring break in Mr. Pigeon 72 is one day off school on a random Thursday. There was no time, okay, and then Queen Banana, the break in that is 4 days because the episode takes place over 4 days. That's all they get. No Christmas break, no Easter break, screw that, go back to school. There was no time, I'm sorry. This is highly illegal, but it's not my fault. Do you now understand why this was so difficult?
Boy, I was close to tears, frankly.
We are also ignoring any written down dates given in the show, such as the massive poster in Mr. Pigeon that says the gaming tournament is in May. That's impossible. And in Pharaoh on the Lady blog, the post says it's the 21st of May. Also, not possible. But I don't feel all that bad about it because on Marinette's pull down calendar, that's either for herself or Adrian or both of them, it has basketball written all over it, and neither of them play basketball in the show unless it's a slam dunk to get Adrian's piano out, so I don't know. So I don't feel bad about ignoring the gamer poster and stuff on the Ladybug, since Thomas Astruc didn't care about scheduling in basketball games, basically. And speaking about holidays, the weather in the show almost never changes unless it's Christmas or Aurora gets akumatized or Adrian and Marinette need a moment under the umbrella. It is stunning year round. So the fact that Marinette has her birthday in a park in December and everyone rocks up in a t-shirt is frankly none of my business. Alright, if they want to get frostbite, they are welcome to it. I don't care. They only change clothes to fit the season in Santa Claus. That's it. Some of these episodes have to take place in winter. There's not enough time to skip winter, but there is no visual confirmation other than Santa Claus to let us know what season it is. That's the only cold day of the year, Christmas Eve. Accept it and move on. And also quite a few scenes in later episodes happen at night when it's dark, and for my own reference I've classed those episodes as taking place from 10 PM to 3 AM. For example, the Eiffel Tower scene in Ephemeral takes place at 1 AM, which, fun fact, is one of the only times in the show we are told what time it is. So if I say this episode takes place at night, I mean the sky looks like this. But it could feasibly take place at 2 AM and actually be super early the next day, but they hardly ever mention time, so there's no way to be sure if it takes place before midnight or after midnight. And also, fun fact, the Louvre is closed on Tuesdays and on public holidays, and honestly the only real public holiday we have in this is like Valentine's Day, Christmas Day and Galette de Roi. So I've tried my best to factor in the Louvre closures as best as I can, so episodes like the Pharaoh and Feast don't happen on a Tuesday because the museum is closed. But I'm also not French, not from Paris either. I've been twice to Paris and many other times to the rest of France, although that was mainly with the purpose of going to stand in a graveyard. Don't ask. Don't ask. Okay, just leave it. I've never lived in France though, so if there are any like other cultural points I've missed that could affect the timeline and like what would be open and stuff, please let me know. For example, I believe in the early 2000s French kids stopped having to go to school on a Saturday. I don't believe they have to go on a Saturday anymore, but I could be wrong, and from the information I was looking at, lower secondary school or middle school only ever attended Monday to Friday and never on a Saturday, but I could be wrong. If you're French or go to school in France, I'd love to know if I'm right or wrong here. Like I said, it's not set in our universe, so dates don't really matter, but also like I said, it's not set in our universe, so the dates of our universe don't really match up to their universe. Like I said, Baker X is the opening of the Star Train, which is in 2016, but the Star Train, or the Eurostar as it's actually called, opened in 1994. But the show was written and produced by a team of French people, or largely French people. I believe they're all French, but I don't actually know for certain. So I think it's more than likely that cultural events could affect the show, and I just may not know about them because I'm not French, I'm British, so I don't know. And also, one last thing, if any of this is wrong, if I've put an episode where it physically cannot go because it references something I've put after it, please tell me. I want this to be as accurate as possible. I will put any corrections in a pinned comment that will keep editing until we run out of corrections to make. I have tried my best, but I'm only one person and I am also about to lose my mind. So apologies in advance if there are any mistakes. please let me know and I will correct them in a pinned comment. So let's start season 1. So as I've mentioned before, the show starts on the first day back at school, which is Tuesday the 1st of September 2015. As we see in the episode, Marinette is grumbling about probably being in Chloe's class again. Alia and Adrian are new to the school as well. It's absolutely the first day at school and takes place across the whole day. And the opening of Origins with Gaby Baby monologuing is also the same day as Nuru being active is sensed by Waze, who tells Fu, which is why he goes out to find the new holders. So Origins takes place on the 1st of September, Tuesday. Stoneheart takes place the preceding 2 days after. The next day they are back at school after Ladybug and Cat Noir's first ever outing, but because Ladybug didn't cleanse the Akuma properly, Ivan is akumatized again, and that is where the day ends. And the second day opens with Alia and Marinette walking into school and taking the correct seats, and ends with the umbrella scene. Although if you like, Stoneheart can be very feasibly squeezed into one day with Alia and Marinette walking back into school after the Akuma attack ends, but to me it feels like it's over 2 days. Like I said, it ends with the end of the school day with the beloved umbrella scene. Saturday the 5th is stormy weather. I put it on a weekend as Marinette is babysitting and the photo shoot is in the park, but most episodes in the show don't always say it's the weekend. Some of them do say it's Saturday or Sunday, but most of them don't. It could take place after school if you wanted it to, there's enough time. Although they do say it's the first day of summer in the episode. Ignore that. It cannot be. Sadly, lines like that have to be ignored for the timeline to work. If stormy weather was in season 5, then yeah, it totally could be the first day of summer. But it's not, it's in season 1, so it's not the first day of summer. We then have Lady Wi-Fi on the 7th, 8th and 9th. It all happens at school. Day 1, Alia sees the Ladybug stuff in Chloe's bag and writes Marinette a note about it. Day 2, Alia tries to prove Chloe is Ladybug and gets excluded from school and akumatized. She is de-akumatized that night, and in the morning on the 9th before school, Alia is over at Marinette's theorising that Adrian is Cat Noir. And we all laughed. Straight after, on the 10th and the 11th, is Evil Illustrator. Maybe they didn't happen so soon after each other, I don't know. Like, the episodes don't say, oh, so-and-so was akumatized yesterday. So they feasibly can happen one after the other if you really want to. You know, if you really don't like Adrian and Marinette, you want to stress them out to the max, feel free, do it. You can put them all after each other if you like. So the bulk of the episode happens on the 10th. Nathaniel gets caught drawing in class. His date with Marinette is that night. Then the day after, Sabrina dumps Marinette as her new best friend at school. On the 14th is Princess Fragrance.
At your service, Princess Fragrance.
It's a school day, so 14th of September 2015 was a Monday. Takes place over the whole day but ends before the evening, and we know this because Chloe leaves for lunch with Tiki. On the 16th is Dark Cupid, aka this universe's Valentine's Day. It's a school day and in class they're learning about Sleeping Beauty. After school, Kim goes to intercept Chloe, which causes his Akuma, and the episode ends later that afternoon with Adrian reading his mountain of Valentine's Day cards at home. Mr. Pigeon, the first one, is on the 18th. It's a school day, but it's for the hat competition. They don't seem like they need to be in class that day, and they have 9 hours to make the hats. The episode takes place over a whole 9 hours, and the episode ends with Marinette winning the competition at the end of the school day. On the 21st is Pixelator, and it's a school day where they go on a field trip to get work experience at a hotel. Weird field trip. It takes the whole day, and at the end the kids are invited to Jagged Stone's concert that night. The 23rd is Roger Cop, which again is a school day. It's like invite your parents to school days. There's a thing in France, I don't know, we don't really have it here. And just a note, by the way, also here, season 1, 2 and 3 are very heavy on school episodes, but 4 and 5, they do still have them, but they're not quite as common. Anyway, Roger Cop ends that night. As you can see, Ladybug and Cat Noir fighting Roger Cop outside City Hall, and it is dark. The 25th is Dark Blade, which once again is another school day where they vote for the class rep, which is then ignored and isn't brought up again until the end of season 5. They totally did not forget about it.
Absolutely not.
The mayor elections run on the same day, and after the Akuma attack, the class head back to school and vote, but you could argue the end of the episode ends on a different day, but I do think there's enough time to fit it all in. Copycat takes place on the 27th and the 28th of September. Day 1 on the Sunday, Alia is over at Marinette's while Adrian is fencing. Like I said, the school is always open. It has to be to accommodate the fencing that just seems to happen whenever. Sometimes after school, sometimes on the weekend, it just has to be open. The fencers do what they like, they're a law unto themselves. Marinette steals Adrian's phone and then it's the statue unveiling, and the next day needs to be a school day, so Monday the 28th, Marinette puts Adrian's phone back in his bag. And the last episode in September is Annie Man on the 30th, and it takes place after school before the evening as Alia and Nino come and find Marinette after the Akuma attack to announce that they are dating. October now, and on Thursday the 1st is Adrian's birthday. It's a school day and Nino goes at lunchtime to talk to Gaby Baby, he gets akumatized, and Natalie gives Adrian Marinette's present at dinner that evening, and the day after Adrian rocks up to school wearing the scarf. And we know it takes place over 2 days because on the second day when Adrian arrives at school, Sabrina says to Chloe there were no adults yesterday to deliver Adrian's present. So the end scene of the bubbler takes place the day after Nino's Akuma. The 7th is Gamer, and it seems to start in the afternoon. Then Adrian goes to Marinette's place after school to practice, and then the tournament is that night. So Max's Akuma takes place after school. Horrificator takes place on the 9th and 10th. The 9th is a Friday and they spend after school filming, and they state they have until 6 PM to finish. Then they go and submit it the day after because Nino needs time to edit the video. I very generously gave him overnight to do it, and the deadline for the film is also the day after, so you know, he really had no choice. The 11th is part 1 of Simon Says. The show Nino is on a Sunday as Marinette says she has school tomorrow, and the Akuma attack is all in one day. But Marinette's parents at the end of the episode say it's been a week with no lateness or absences, so the ending of Simon Says is a week later on Sunday the 18th. In between, on the 13th, we have The Puppeteer, which can take place on a weekend or after school. I've put it on a Tuesday to save some time since we are limited with weekend space. But Alia and Marinette do get on the metro at 17:04 or 5:04 PM because it says so. However, just a little continuity error here with The Puppeteer. Lady Wi-Fi, Eve Illustrator and Roger Cop have to happen before this episode because they are the dolls that Manon plays with. And in this episode, The Puppeteer, Cat Noir on the metro asks where Marinette lives, but he finds out where she lives in Eve Illustrator, which has already happened because the doll of him already exists. But I thought it was more important to have Eve Illustrator happen first, since the doll of him exists, and that Adrian just has short-term memory loss and he just didn't think it was important to know where Marinette lived. And that was already forgotten, okay?
I don't know. I'm scared.
On the 14th, the day after school, Nadia brings Manon over to Marinette's to babysit again for the end scene. On the 16th is The Mime. We know it's a school day as Alia and Marinette are wandering around with their school bags, but it seems to be after school, and the play Milen's dad is in is that night. The 20th and 21st is The Pharaoh. So the 20th is in the morning before school. Ladybug loses her history book. Why she had it as Ladybug, no idea, which Alia finds and Marinette doesn't have for class. And on the 21st, Marinette sees a video and takes Alia to the Louvre after school. Remember, the second part of the episode where they go to the Louvre can't be on a Tuesday because it is closed on a Tuesday. That weekend on the 24th is Timebreaker. Tom and Sabine have gone for lunch, as have Alex and her dad for her birthday, and then it's the race between Alex and Kim, and the episode ends on the same day. The day after, on the 25th, is the start of Guitar Villain, which lasts until the 28th. It takes quite a while. The first day is in the early evening. Bob goes to the bakery to ask Marinette to design the album cover. She delivers it the next day, and Jagged Stone is akumatized, and the attack ends that night. On the 27th, Marinette does the final album design and takes it to Jagged, and on the 28th at school, Adrian asks Marinette to sign it for him. They printed these albums very quickly. On the 30th is Reflector for the school picture day on Friday, and the episode ends on their lunch break in the park. It's a pretty succinct episode. And now on to November. On Sunday the 1st we have Kung Food. It seems to take a while with the different rounds on the Akuma, so I gave it a whole day on the weekend. And then Anti-Bug takes place over 3 days, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th. On the 2nd, Sabrina is akumatized and is hence absent from school, which Alia notes on the 3rd. And on the 3rd, when Sabrina is defeated, Chloe is akumatized and defeated too, and then Chloe and Sabrina reunite at school on the 4th. Although I'm not really sure reunite is the correct word for someone who is bullying you. And finally we have Vulpina, which is on the 6th, another school day. Of course, it's Lila's first day at school, and she tells Adrian to meet her in the park after school. However,
There's always a but.
it's not after school. I know she says that, but she's lying. It's Lila. Of course she's lying. It's actually lunchtime. I will explain why when we get to the collector, which is next, so just hold on. But she gets akumatized on the same lunch break, and Marinette goes to Master Fu to give him the grimoire before heading back to school for the afternoon. So the collector let me explain why it happens on the same day and why Adrian and Lila meet at lunchtime and not after school. So Adrian is at home at the start of the collector, meaning he went home for lunch after the Akuma attack. And before anyone's like, well, yeah, Hayes, he would have gone home after school as well. Hold on, okay, hold on. Natalie and Gabriel confront Adrian with the footage of getting the grimoire from the safe. Why would Gabriel wait until the day after to say something? This man is crazy, he is not waiting. Secondly, when Marinette gets back to school after going to Master Fu's, which why would she go back to school if Adrian met Lila after school? She would also just go home. Chloe is like, oh my god, Adrian isn't coming back to school. The whole class is there comforting her. So trust me, Lila's Akuma happens at lunch break. So the timeline of Volpina and the Collector is this. Adrian takes the grimoire before school that morning, Lila arrives at school, she steals the grimoire, she leaves for lunch to get the fake fox Miraculous, then she and Adrian meet in the park at lunch, Marinette steals the grimoire, there's a lot of stealing in this show for kids. Ladybug confronts Lila, Lila is akumatized, they defeat Lila, Marinette heads to Fu's, Adrian goes home for lunch, his dad confronts him, Adrian texts Chloe to let her know the news, Marinette goes back to school and finds out, she then goes to the mansion and Gaby Baby has akumatized himself, Marinette heads back to Fu's for the grimoire, talks to Gabriel, and Adrian returns to school for afternoon classes. So Volpina and the Collector both happen on the 6th of November. Busy day.
And that was the day my anxieties began.
Prime Queen is next and I put it on the 8th on a Sunday. It could feasibly happen after school if you like though. So Ladybug and Cat Noir go on the show and Nadia is akumatized. And the ending of the episode has Alia on Nadia's show, which I decided to do on the weekend after the 15th. Just because I doubt Nadia could have it organised for the same day. And they also don't state how long it is between the original interview with Ladybug and Cat Noir and then the one with Alia. On the 10th is Glaciator and it starts at dinner. Marinette is eating with her parents but then skips dessert to go meet with her friends for ice cream, and you can see the sun is setting so it's the evening. The rest of the episode follows from there with the Akuma being at night, although what time it finishes exactly I have no idea. And then at some point, seemingly the next day, but it could be literally whenever, Marinette and Adrian go and eat ice cream separately. Although I don't think either of them pay for it. Like I said, a lot of stealing in this show. On the 13th is Despairbear. It's a school day and Chloe throws a party and Adrian refers to the party as happening tonight during the dance scene, so it happens after school, and the ending scene where Chloe invites Tom to the hotel to make food is the same night after the Akuma has happened. Troublemaker is the 17th and 18th. The 17th is the night of shooting the show at Marinette and Penny's Akuma, and it needs to be on a school day as Marinette told everyone at school to watch it. And the day after, Marinette sneaks into school and Adrian confronts her about the pictures of him all over her wall.
Are you lying?
But we're not stopping because on the 19th we have Gigant Titan. There's no mention of school, but I do think it's pretty feasible it could all happen after school, and honestly like pretty much the whole episode takes place over like the episode runtime. There's no like skips like in Despairbear, takes place over a whole day, over several hours, which is fine, but Gigant Titan seems to happen over like the 20-minute episode slot. So the girls try their plan, it fails. A baby gets akumatized. On the 20th we have the Sapatees. Now Sapatees needs to happen on a Friday night because Alia is taking her sisters to the amusement park or theme park the day after, and I doubt they're gonna take a day off to do that. But we don't see the day after. The whole episode takes place that night and Marinette is over to help babysit. The next week opens with a riposte, and by the end of the episode the sky is starting to get dark, so it happens after school for sure, but only happens in one day. So fencing tryouts after school, Kagami arrives, Adrian wins, she gets akumatized.
So then I had to edit this next bit out because it started to rain really heavily. I thought it would be okay, but it turns out it wasn't. You could hear it terribly on the camera. So I'll just re-record what I said. Facecam Hayes will be back in a moment or two. So riposte again can't happen on a Tuesday as the Louvre is closed and the whole fight pretty much takes place in the Louvre. Then we have Anansi on the 24th. It doesn't matter what day you put this on, but they do say they have school tomorrow, so the day after really needs to be a school day. And it all seems to happen in the evening, so it can take place after school too. It doesn't have to take place on a Sunday before school on Monday.
On the 26th and the 27th we have the Dark Owl. The first part is after school where Ladybug and Cat Noir save Mr. Damocles and Marinette stays up to make the cardboard girl Akuma outfit. The next day after school, Alia wears it, which leads to his Akuma. They defeat him that night. The ending scene of the owl finally being accepted does seem to take place after on the 28th, as Alia talks to Marinette about her being Cardboard Girl, which I doubt she could have kept a secret from Marinette for any length of time. The 29th is Gorizilla. This episode seems to happen on the weekend as the girls are waiting for Marinette to get out of bed to go swimming, but of course she runs into Adrian, they go to the cinema, and it ends later that day when Gabriel and Adrian watch Solitude together. And on to December. We have Robustus on the 2nd, and it's also a school day. We see the kids and Markov at school. The events of the episode all seem to happen on one day, including the ending with Marinette and Master Fu. On Saturday the 5th is Style Queen and Queen Wasp. Style Queen takes place first. It's a fashion show. Audrey gets akumatized. Ladybug defeats her with Plague but loses the Be Miraculous in the process, which Chloe finds. In a weird turn of events, Chloe takes the Miraculous and heads back to the hotel and sees Pollen for the first time. She puts the Miraculous in her hair and then goes back to the fashion show. I don't know why she keeps going back and forth. Chloe, I don't understand it. I don't think anyone understands it. She gets akumatized and Marinette gets Chloe to her mum to the helicopter for 8 PM that night, which is the time Audrey tells Marinette she would be leaving. On the 6th we have a Siren. This could feasibly happen after school, but you know, a lot actually happens in it, so I put it on a Sunday to give us some more time. Kim goes to the pool to practice. He leaves early for the cinema and Ondine gets akumatized. Arguably on the same day but much later on is the ending where Master Fu properly meets Adrian and becomes his new Mandarin tutor, and at the same time Gabriel is interrogating Nuru about the power-ups, so it does make sense it happens the same day since he's asking those questions the same day he saw the power-ups, although he never used them himself. I'm so sad, I really wanted to see a mermaid Gaby baby.
That's so upsetting.
On the 9th and the 10th is Zombie Sue. The 9th is Miss Boustier's birthday and she gets akumatized the same day. What a wonderful present. And the day after, another school day, Chloe brings in her present for her teacher. The 13th is Befana and Marinette's birthday. The way it's set up is that she spends most of the day with her grandma, so it really needs to happen on a weekend rather than a weekday. Her birthday party isn't until the late afternoon, but then the Akuma happens and the party is pushed to that night. The 14th is the first day of Reversa, which is where the bulk of the episode is. It's a school day, it all happens at school, it's a Monday. So Marinette introduces my son Mark to Nathaniel, it goes terribly and he gets akumatized, but I put the ending scene on the 18th, another school day, to give Mark and Nathaniel some time to actually make the comic they present at the end of the episode. That weekend is Captain Hard Rock. It seems to take place on the weekend for this music festival, and it ends that night when Adrian joins Kitty section on the keyboard. The day after we have Frightening Gale, part 1 on the 21st. While school is not mentioned in this episode, I decided it's happening after school, or I guess it could be the Christmas break at this point, I don't know. However, the ending of the episode where they watch the final music video is the week after on the 28th and is shown in the school library. And like I said, I know this is when the Christmas or winter break should be held, but they don't really get one. Sorry kids. It is then time for Santa Claus in between. I am Santa Claus. It seems to be Christmas Eve night. They sing and I hate it. It ends the same night. Thankfully, because I couldn't stand it if they dragged it out any longer. Like I said though, no real Christmas break because 29th and the 30th of December is Froza. Don't worry, I did give them New Year's Eve off. I'm not a total monster. Day 1 of Froza is the Akuma attack, and then Adrian heads back to school for fencing. Then the day after at school, he asks Marinette for advice and they go on a double date to the ice rink where the Akuma happens, and it ends the same day. Now on to January. Maledictator happens over 2 days on the 4th and the 5th. Chloe leaves school at lunchtime and her dad is akumatized, and the fight goes into the night. And the day after at school they throw a party for Queen Bee. And on the same night on the 5th we have Samboy. Why the same night? Because I was running out of days. Okay. Has to be the same night. The bulk of the episode happens on the night of the 5th. Although we're never told what time it is, so I definitely think it could cross over early into the morning the next day. There's no time given, so I don't know. And it also does conclude at a more sociable hour the next morning on the 6th when Master Fu is talking to Marinette, Tiki, Plague and Waze about their terrible actions. The next day on the 6th we have Heroes Day. Both Catalyst and Mayura are on this day. It begins early in the morning. Ladybug and Cat Noir have been out all night fighting an Akuma. They both go to bed and are up right away again for school. Adrian goes home at lunch, asks if he's allowed to go to Marinette's picnic, goes back to school, Scarlet Akumas arrive, and Adrian rugby tackles Marinette to the floor because she's just a friend.
She's just a friend.
Marinette, Adrian, Ali and Nino and Chloe go to fight them. Ali and Nino and Chloe get akumatized though. Ladybug and Cat Noir regroup in the sewers. I love this scene. They get their teammates back. Mayura makes her debut. And then in the park that evening, Marinette kisses Adrian on the cheek. And before we end season 2, I'm going to do the Shanghai special as well. So they state in the opening it's a school holiday.
So school was finally out.
So this can take place on weekdays or weekends, doesn't matter. So let's get down into it and talk about flight times.
I'm sorry, what?
I want this to be accurate, okay? And big thank you to Ari from my Discord server, one of my moderators, for helping me work this out with time differences. I'm very good at maths, but time differences, they are my Achilles heel. I've only ever been 1 hour outside of my time zone, so I never really have to use them all that much, and they just really confuse me. So thank you very much, Ari, for helping me out with the time difference for Shanghai special and the New York special, which we'll get to at the end of season 3. So the special opens the day after on Heroes Day on the 8th. Then let's say the day after, they don't say it's the day after, I'm just putting it as the day after, we see Ladybug and Cat Noir helping out around Paris, but there are no Akuma attacks. On the 11th is the class picnic, but Marinette has to go to the post office and finds out Adrian is off to Shanghai, and she goes the same day. So the plane Marinette takes will take off at 4 PM Paris time, which is 11 PM Shanghai time. The flight between them is 12 hours, so Marinette should get to Shanghai at 11 AM Shanghai time, which will be the next day on the 12th. I have not factored in flight delays, screw that, we're not doing that. This is the smoothest flight to ever have happened in the history of air travel, okay? And Adrian gets to Shanghai before her since he set off before her. It was obviously earlier, he's on the plane when she finds out he's gone, and they also have a private jet, so screw the environment. So Marinette is in Paris on the 11th, lands in Shanghai on the 12th at around 11 AM, which should give her time to do everything in the episode in my opinion, but feel free to disagree with me. Her uncle picks her up, she goes to meet Adrian, Faye robs her, spends the rest of the day looking for her things, and that night Faye becomes Lady Dragon. The whole thing, yep, happens in a day. I'd have started crying. Now, I don't know how long it actually takes, but at the end of it, Marinette goes back to her uncle's and they have dinner. So it still seems to be her uncle's birthday, so I guess they were done in time to eat dinner. And to be honest, after all of that, I would have wanted to go to bed, not have a sit-down family dinner with like my brand new cousin and the boy I'm in love with. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, no, I'm going to bed. Okay, so season 3, we open with Chameleon on the 18th and it depicts one whole day of school, although please ignore any comments Lila makes about her being absent for certain terms or semesters because the writers haven't kept track, so it's not accurate. And she's also a liar, so you know, checks out. On the 20th we have Reflectol. Again, it's a school day, but they finish school early. And the Akuma and Sentimonster attack is over before it gets to the evening. It takes place all after school. Well, you see what I mean? Like, this one happens after school because we're told it does, but the events of this episode could very easily play out after school before the evening, so other episodes can do the same thing. It really depends what happens though. On the 23rd is Bakerick, so this is Tom's birthday, and just from the way the episode is set up, it seems like a weekend to me. Everyone has free time, you know, hence why it's on a Saturday, and once again it all happens in one day. Marinette goes to meet her granddad, he gets akumatized, and then he comes over to see his son. We then have Silencer, which is split over 4 days with some montage, which is what SM means, Silencer montage. So Bob Ross says they have 2 weeks to submit music. Kitty Section and Marinette find out about the competition after school on the 25th, and the next 3 days, the 26th, 27th, 28th, the kids practice and get everything ready and submit. 2 weeks pass, but they don't hear anything until the 8th of February, where they see XY performing their song after school. Confront Bob Ross, Luca gets akumatized, and then Kitty Section perform on TV on that ending day. Now, important notes, in between the opening and ending of Silencer, Marinette has a few episodes where she is clearly in love with Adrian, like Backwater and Oni-chan. But in Silencer, she definitely has feelings for Luca. However, tracking how Marinette feels throughout the show with whichever boy, Adrian or Luca, is pretty useless. It's really difficult to work out and like pull up a thread between them because it just doesn't seem to work out like that. It genuinely just seems she has a crush or has feelings for whichever boy, depending on how convenient it was for her to feel something for that boy, depending on the plot of the episode. So I don't think there's an order to it necessarily, other than she is confused, and so are the writers.
I'm confused.
So I haven't arranged any of the season 3 episodes with the most Lucanet or Adrianette around them, like in that kind of configuration. I haven't done it according to her feelings because honestly it's a little bit useless and doesn't really seem to work. Okay, so back to the end of January, we have Backorder on the Saturday the 30th, and this is a Saturday because it says it's Saturday in the episode. Adrian travels to London with Kagami and their parents for that day of the royal wedding, and Marinette is running around mixing up love letters and constipation relief prescriptions. Now the day after Fu goes to meet Marianne, could it feasibly have been on the same day as the Akuma? Absolutely. However, Marinette watches them meet and she's like, I have to see Adrian tomorrow morning. And when we see that meeting, it's as school is starting for the day. And we know Adrian goes to London on a Saturday. So the only explanation is Adrian leaves on Saturday, Akuma happens, Fu and Marianne meet on Sunday, Adrian gives Marinette her constipation relief medication on Monday before classes start on the 1st of February. We have Oni-chan on the 3rd and the 4th. Again, ignore what Lila says about her missing the first term. She's missed like the first term and a half like by now. She's even convinced the writers to lie. Anyway, it starts one morning before school and it seems that Lila goes with Adrian either after school or lunchtime to help with the work she missed. Kagami gets jealous and is akumatized that day, and the following day Lila asks Adrian for help again. That weekend on the 6th and the 7th is Weredad. So on the 6th at night, Ladybug and Cat Noir defeat Gigantitan again. It's a difficult word to say, Gigantitan. Cat Noir ends up on Marinette's balcony and he gets invited for brunch the next day, which is when the Akuma happens. I love brunch. Thomas the Bane, invite me to lunch. I promise I won't insult your daughter. I just want brunch with you. I love you both. So then it's the end of Silencer, and then Miraculous is the day after on the 9th. So it opens first thing in the morning where there's an Akuma and Ladybug doesn't call on Queen Bee. Sabrina is over at the hotel. Why? I don't know, maybe they had a sleepover the night before, but we know it's in the morning because Lila walks into the school and says good morning, but I guess she could be lying. But Adrian says they have a science test in the afternoon, and I do believe him, he's not known to lie as much. And Gaby Baby also asks Lila for help with Chloe, and it seems she acts on it right away the same day. So Gabriel does indeed get up before 9 AM to ask a 14-year-old to manipulate another 14-year-old to get the earrings of another 14-year-old, all before they start school, and also akumatizes someone. Lovely.
This is amazing for you.
They don't say so, but it seems after school Sabrina gets akumatized, and then the day after on the 10th, Chloe confronts Lila, and she's like, weren't you with Ladybug yesterday? So Miraculous takes place over 2 days. Oblivio is on the 12th, and apart from the ending, this is one of the episodes that takes place over the runtime. We find out at the end that Ali and Nino got akumatized on the class trip to Montparnasse Tower, and it's still light out when it's all over, so I would assume they returned to school before the evening, and that night Alia has posted the kiss photo on the Ladybug. On the 14th is Time Tagger. Before the Akuma happens, it seems pretty chill, so I put it on a weekend. Like Ladybug and Cat Noir have time to have an ice cream with Mr. Ralme, they're not in a rush to get back to school. So Ali and Marinette are babysitting Chris at the park. Mr. Pigeon happens, then Time Tagger. The ending of the episode is arguably a different day, but it's also arguably the same day. Ladybug rings Alia and apologises for not being able to babysit and says she hasn't finished her presentation for Monday, hence why I've put this episode on a Sunday. The sky in the ending is nearing evening and sunset, and in the rest of the episode it's still light out, so it could all feasibly happen in one day. Desperada happens the next day on the 15th after school, and while Adrian definitely ages about a year with all the second chances he used, it doesn't impact the overall timeline, only his personal timeline. He is closer to death than the rest of the kids. And it ends the same day before the evening. On the 17th and 18th is Chris Master featuring the Antichrist. On the 17th, Marinette lies to him, which causes his Akuma, and the day after also has to be a school day because when Nino picks Chris up, he says, see you at school tomorrow, Marinette. And it doesn't say it's the next day, but I put it here because it's my video. But Nino brings Chris over to babysit again on the day after on the 18th. And the events of both days happen after school. On the 20th is the Puppeteer 2. They say it's the afternoon and Marinette, Adrian, Elliot and Nino are all off, so it seems like it's the weekend. They take one on to the Wax Museum to repair Adrian's statue, and they have a very cringe-inducing exchange.
For eternity.
Eternity sounds like a long time.
On the 21st, the day after, because Marinette has short-term memory loss and forgot how traumatizing the Puppeteer 2 was, is Star Train. So on the 21st, Marinette goes to see Master Fu, and she's like, tomorrow's a school field trip though, I can't go, and he gives her the horse Miraculous. The 22nd is the actual field trip. Marinette falls asleep on Adrian, Claudia gets acclimatized, and Max uses the horse Miraculous. They are back in Paris by the end of the day. The 24th and the 25th are both Kwame Buster. They both need to happen on school days. On the first day, Miss Mendeleev catches Tiki and Plank in her classroom, and on the next day she goes on Alternative Truth and is akumatized the same day, and it's all resolved that day as well. Annie Maestro is next, my favourite episode. And I put it on a weekend since Marinette seems to be at home for most of the afternoon when she's hired to be like a server at the premiere. The premiere is that night and it ends with her watching the movie. Finally, for February we have Gamer 2.0. It opens on a Sunday because Tom says it's Sunday, so this is the 28th. And Marinette is working hard catching up on her schoolwork. She's still catching up the next day at the school, which is the 29th because 2016 was a leap year. Max is akumatized and Marinette invites him over after school to play games with her and her parents. First up in March is Feast. It's another 2-day episode on the 2nd and the 3rd. On the 2nd they go to the Louvre to see the new exhibit. Natalie sees it, activates Feast that night, comes after Master Fu. Marinette and Adrian defeat it in questionable outfits. And then the day after, Marinette goes to help Master Fu move out. On the 4th is Stormy Weather 2. It's largely made up of flashbacks, but what we do see is new is that it starts after school, finishes same day. It's very uncomplicated. On the 6th is Akari Gozen. To me, this episode takes place on the weekend because all the kids are off school. Tomoe gets akumatized and Kagami uses the Dragon Miraculous. It ends the same day as well. Very uncomplicated. Okay, next on the 8th is Cat Blank. We all know what happens, however, according to the timeline of the show, that no longer happens. So what happens now is Marinette goes to Adrian, fails to give the gift, tells her friends at the Trocadero, they make her go back, Adrian sees her, she transforms, puts the present on the bed, she leaves, Bunnix comes for her, fights Cat Blank and then uses the eraser to get rid of her name. No time has really passed in the present. Adrian comes in, Ladybug tells him the gift is from his fans in Brazil. The whole thing is over in like less than 20 minutes as a fight with Cat Blank doesn't extend the timeline as Ladybug travels back to the same moment where Bunnix got her. Everything else that happened isn't part of the timeline anymore because it's been erased, didn't happen anymore. On the 10th is Felix. I was running out of weekends, so I put this as happening as after school. Amelie and Felix arrive at the mansion, the kids congregate on the boat, and Felix makes them all angry, and he leaves back to London on the same day after causing a load of chaos. Thanks, Felix. Party Crasher, one of my favourite episodes, is on the 12th. The girls are planting trees and the boys are having a party, and a lot of other people are available, so it seems like a weekend thing. Marinette goes to the party, Wayhem is akumatized, Kim gets the Monkey Miraculous, and Gaby Baby is confused.
I don't feel any negative emotion. There's only joy. What's going on in my house?
On the 14th is Ladybug. This happens on a school day, hence why it's Monday here, and they also reference it being a school day the day after, so it needs to be set up like that. Marinette gets expelled pretty quickly, like first thing in the morning, but they have the meeting to get her back in before the end of the day, so I'm assuming the photo shoot Lila and Adrian do is at lunchtime and the Senti monster fight is mid-morning. And now it is time for the video game. So Rise of the Sphinx needs to take place after Party Crasher, as to defeat Gamer in Rise of the Sphinx one of the questions is about Party Crasher, but it also must take place before the season 3 finale as the game concerns Chloe's akumatization and Miracle Queen, and Heart Hunter and Miracle Queen take place on the same day right after each other, so it has to happen within that time frame. However, there is one major inconsistency with the game in that it is Adrian's birthday. And you're all like, but hey, it's his birthday in the bubbler. Yeah, I know it was. I just think they forgot. Slash wanted some romance in the game and didn't know what they were doing. Truer words never spoken about Miraculous Ladybug. So I'm basically going to ignore Adrian having a birthday here. Either his birthday in the bubbler or Rise of the Sphinx. One of them has to be a mistake, and I'm gonna say the one in Rise of the Sphinx is a mistake and the bubbler is his canon birthday, purely because whilst the game is canon, I think the vast majority of the fandom, I don't have figures on this, this is just what I think, haven't played the game and don't care about it, but everyone has seen the bubbler. So the bubbler is Adrian's birthday, Rise of the Sphinx is a mistake, both Adrian's birthday being in it and the game as a whole. Big mistake. So it's set over 5 days. Day 1 has a Mr. Pigeon fight during the day, and the numbers of this are inconsistent with Time Tagger and the New York special, but we'll discuss Mr. Pigeon later, and they get let out of school, so I put this as Tuesday the 15th. Then that night, Penny is akumatized at a concert. The day after, the days in the game do seem to happen one after the other. There is no break. Marinette is fined. Don't ask. It doesn't make sense. The game doesn't make sense, don't play it, okay? And then that night, Tom is akumatized. The day after, the kids go to the boat after school, and when I say kids, I mean limited cast available in the game, not all of the kids are in it. And Max is akumatized around sunset. The next day is the 18th. Chloe is akumatized. She is then kidnapped by a giant caterpillar. Just go with it. Don't ask questions. School is cancelled, city is on lockdown, Ladybug and Cat Noir explore the sewers. Then that night they fight Hawk Daddy at the top of the Eiffel Tower. And on the final day, everything is okay and they meet up for Adrian's birthday party. I don't know. There is another inconsistency in the game, is that you basically use going to see Master Fu as like an upgrade shop thing, but he isn't in hiding, he just stands in a little park behind the bakery, but the game has to happen after Party Crasher because one of the questions is about Party Crasher. So I would think that either A, forgot, B, didn't care, C, thought Master Fu was convenient to buy things from without him being in hiding, or D, all of the above. And then we finally have Heart Hunter and Miracle Queen. They take place on the same day, one after the other. As soon as Heart Hunter ends, Miracle Queen starts. There's no pause in the middle. A lot happens, not really any time for school, so I put it on a weekend. So it's Chloe's parents' wedding anniversary on the 20th, because I said so. They get akumatized. Mayura sabotages the Queen Bee signal, but it was useless anyway since it seems Marinette would go for Kagami, regardless, due to her jealousy. She gets mixed up and doesn't de-transform before she gets the Dragon Miraculous. Fu gets caught, Chloe is akumatized, and they defeat Miracle Queen as Fu relinquishes the Miracle Box. And it seems the ending with Fu leaving and the kids sitting by the Sen takes place on the same day, but it could feasibly happen the day after. And now the New York special. So it opens on Tuesday the 22nd, and on this day they fight Mr. Pigeon 51 and also showcase their sock presentation, and Marinette goes to talk to Gaby Baby. And that night Ladybug gives Cat Noir the little device she's made to call her when she is away. The next day is the day of the flight. Now they need to be in New York in time for sunset, as they're going from the airport into New York towards their hotel or the hostel, whatever. It is sunset, and later on that day it's the party with Hot Dog down. It's in the middle of the night. So a flight from Paris to New York is 8.5 hours. If they fly at 3 p.m. Paris time on Wednesday, they will arrive at 5:30 p.m. New York time, because New York is behind, right? Shanghai is in front, but New York is behind Paris in terms of time, and that should be enough time for the party that night with Hot Dog Dan and dancing with someone who's just a friend when you're both dating somebody else. And then Thursday the 24th is basically the rest of the special. Kids go to the museum, they make their plan, doesn't go well, Aeon dies, then she's not. Cat Noir relinquishes his Miraculous, gets on a plane, but Techno Pirate has the Eagle Miraculous and affects all the New York heroes. Aeon fetches Cat Noir, they fight. The ending also seems to be the same day as well, where the kids hold up the sign for Adrian because he's still on the plane when he sees that he hasn't got back to Paris yet. So the night where the big fight is and Jess using the Eagle Miraculous is the same night as that part. As for the ending with Jess and Aeon and they see Cash and the other Guardian comes to them, when that takes place I am not as sure exactly, but I'm not that bothered about it since it doesn't really affect the timeline of everything else. You can put that one wherever you want. Alright, season 4, let's go. My throat is dying, I had to take a water break. So, Truth and Lies happen simultaneously for the most part. However, the opening scene of Lies cannot physically happen. So in Truth, Marinette lets the Kwamis out in her first scene, then Luca comes by to get her, they go to the cinema, and she leaves when there's an Akuma attack. We see this from Adrian's perspective in Lies. He's been filming that morning with the camera crew, he gets home, goes on patrol, Ladybug doesn't show up, he goes to fencing, starts fencing, Mr. Pigeon is akumatized, he leaves, the same Akuma Marinette leaves the cinema for. As a result of that, the opening scene of Lies where Marinette is at home watching the news clip on Adrian's day is not physically possible. So in the opening scene in Truth, she lets the Kwamis out of the Miracle Box for the very first time, and then goes on her date with Luca. In order for this scene to work, Marinette needs to let the Kwamis out because they are out in the opening scene in Lies. Go out with Luca, return home, watch this clip, then go out with Luca again to the cinema, which she leaves for the Akuma attack. But that doesn't happen because when Luca picks it up, they head straight for the cinema. There is no physical way this scene can happen, and we know it's supposed to take place the same day because Marinette, after watching the news, says, "What an exciting day." Adrian gets home, he says, "What a boring day." Then he leaves for patrol, which is the same day as everything else. And even if you want to be like, well, maybe the opening of Lies could have been the day before, it's not, because Marinette lets the Kwamis out for the first time right before her date with Luca, which we see in the opening scene of Truth. Well, her first scene in Truth, because it actually opens with Gabriel, don't ask. Which is the same day as the Mr. Pigeon attack, which starts while she is in the cinema. So while Adrian being filmed that morning is canon, Marinette having watched it isn't canon. Ignore it. The scene physically is not possible. It cannot happen because the Kwamis are out of that box. If the scene was just Marinette and Tiki, it works, but it's not, so it's not canon. Okay, so with that out of the way, Truth and Lies open on Saturday the 26th of March. Gabriel fixes the Peacock Miraculous, Marinette opens the Miracle Box and goes on her date with Luca in the afternoon. And we know it's the afternoon because that morning Adrian has been filming, and when he returns home, Plague mentions he didn't give Adrian a lunch break. While Marinette is opening the box and talking to the girls on video chat, Adrian has returned home and gone to patrol as Cat Noir. Ladybug is a no-show because she's with Luca. He meets Kagami at school on Saturday, yes, because DuPont is always open. They start fencing, he leaves for Mr. Pigeon attack, and Marinette leaves the cinema for that. The day after, they all go for ice cream. How do I know it's the day after? I don't, I just decided it was. Marinette and Luca go for ice cream. She sees the lollipop scenty monster and leaves. Adrian and Kagami meet up there like 30 seconds later. He sees the same one, also leaves. The bulk of the episodes though happen on the 28th. Marinette, Adrian, Alia and Nino all leave school. Luca comes to pick her up, but she sees an Akuma and goes. Same happens for Adrian. The same day the kids all head to the boat to watch Kitty Section. Again, how do I know it's the same day? I absolutely don't. But there are only so many days to play with, so I decided it was the same day. Luca gets akumatized that night, they sort that out. Alia and Kagami go to Prince Ali's birthday party, she gets akumatized. Then the day after school, Adrian and Kagami fence and they argue, and that night Cat Noir talks to Ladybug. So the rest of the episodes fit together really well, but the opening scene with Marinette in Lies doesn't exist, just forget it.
Check.
The day after, we have Gang of Secrets on the 30th. It all seems to happen after school, but the school needs to stay open after classes finish. Like I said, a lot of these episodes need the school to always be open, even if no classes are being taught. Alia references the previous day at school to say Marinette was crying in the bathroom. That gives the 29th for Marinette to cry at school. I'm so generous to her. And the day before, Julika also took some sad stills of her brother, because why not?
I mean, why not?
The girls decide to make Marinette a bracelet and she is out with Cat Noir to cheer herself up, but it doesn't work. She comes home as the girls arrive, they almost find the Miracle Box, she shouts at them, they get akumatized, the girls make up, and Marinette tells Alia that she is Ladybug. Up next we have Mr. Pigeon 72 on the 31st, which features the world's shortest spring break of one day. It all happens in one day. Marinette tries to get Kagami and Adrian back together, a pigeon gets given CPR, and Marinette gets her new fancy Lucky Charm outfit. The day after, I tell you, the fun doesn't stop. Or the stress. If you like, it could be both.
Both is good.
We have Psycho Median. It has to be a school day as Marinette is making weird gestures in the courtyard that Adrian thinks are funny. Harry Clown comes by the bakery after school at 5 PM. Who buys bread at that time? Surely it's an early morning thing, I don't know. She gets tickets to see Harry Clown, meets Adrian there. The episode ends that night. On Sunday the 3rd we have Furious Fu. To me this takes place on a weekend. It's nice and chill, it has weekend vibes, it all happens in one day. Marinette picks up Master Fu, Suhan breaks into her house, Master Fu gets akumatized, and then he goes back to London. The day after, Zoe arrives in Paris, and I hope she got some sleep on the plane because she starts school the exact same day. I've never moved countries before personally, but if I was made to start a brand new school the same day I got off an 8.5-hour international flight, I would be starting a riot, okay? She gets akumatized after school, I think they don't say much, might be lunchtime, and that evening Zoe goes to the boat with everyone else, gets her hair dyed that night because I said so, we don't have time to wait, and then we have another school vacation the day after in Queen Banana. No one thought this through, I just... Gonna die. So Queen Banana takes place over 4 days. Day 1 is rehearsal at school and Chloe comes in and argues. Day 2 they go to the producer's office but Chloe is there and has hijacked it. Day 3 is filming. Day 4 Chloe comes back to film but the film is finished and she arrives just in time at the cinema. She is akumatized and it ends outside the cinema the same day. That weekend on the 10th is Daddy Agrest. The kids are at school discussing the Adrianette plan. Again, the school is always open. Chloe intervenes. Marinette goes to the party as Marino. Gabriel threatens his nephew and by the time Gabriel is akumatized the sun is setting so the episode happens later in the day. Mega Leech is on the 12th. It's a school day as the rest of the kids are at school and starts first thing in the morning since Marinette gets up and can see Malene and Ivan protesting at Place de Vosges who get arrested and don't turn up to school. They all go to the park, the mayor is akumatized and it ends when Adrian goes home for the day, but it could feasibly be at lunchtime, but they don't really say. Guilt Trip takes place over 2 days on the 13th and the 14th. First day, Rose ends up in hospital. At lunch she lets Julika know. Then we have the Guilt Trip boiler room scene, aka my one true love. The next day at the school the kids are mega protective which leads to Julika's akumatization and by the end of the day all the kids think it's funny, including Lila. But I don't know why since she didn't know what the original joke was. The same day is the opening to Crocodile. Why? Because I said so, deal with it. After school the kids are on the boat and they lie to Luca that Marinette is fine with coming over, she's just busy. Alia goes over to her house to invite Marinette to the party on Saturday. They say it's Saturday. If they could stop referring to the days of the week and referencing other episodes, that would be great. The day after Marinette goes to school and she's like, Julika, could you uninvite your twin brother to his own birthday party? Thank you very much. And then the day after, on Saturday the 16th, is the party. The day after is Glaciator 2 Part 1, or Day 1, whatever. Ladybug and Cat Noir argue after the photo of them kissing is all over the city. Cat Noir destroys some of them and then goes to help Marinette confess to Buttercup.
Dear Buttercup!
They go to the cinema, Andre sees them and is heartbroken. I'm about to lose my sanity. Cat Noir drops her off at home that night. Glaciator is akumatized and they fight with a Lamborghini.
Pick a Lamborghini!
And the day after, on the 18th, Kagami is like, Marinette, please do not follow my dating advice. And I'm like, Kagami, don't worry. I wouldn't follow any advice from you, dating or otherwise. So now you notice we skipped Optigami and Senti Bubbler. That's because they happened together and Senti Bubbler is on a weekend, but Julika and Luca's birthday is also on a weekend, and so I had Glaciator 2 happen first since that's also a weekend so we didn't waste time. It's a lot of weekends in season 4. So Optigami is on Friday the 22nd. They go at some point in the day for Adrian's fake award thing. Audrey is akumatized and Marinette ends the day giving Alia the Fox Miraculous permanently. Senti Bubbler is the day after, on Saturday the 23rd. We know it's a Saturday because Marinette has spent all morning in bed and arrives at Alia's at around lunchtime. Gavy Baby goes to Starbucks before making a Senti version of his target's boyfriend and it ends the same day. Okay, so on the 25th we have part 1 of Wishmaker. The first day is Marinette handing out the brochures about careers and Miss Bustier says the careers fair is that weekend. So the 1st of May, which is a Sunday, is the careers fair. Please ignore the mess strike back that day makes of the calendar. We will get back to that afterwards. We will get there. So back to Wishmaker. Considering it's sunset by the time the Akuma happens, it seems Adrian and Marinette get to the fair at some point after lunch and it ends that night. In between the start and end of Wishmaker, we have Rocketeer on the 27th and 28th of April. First day we have Alia and Nino go on a date after school to the cinema. Nino sees Cat Noir talking to Alia that night and thinks he's in love with her. The next day he presents his evidence to Adrian and the blonde boy is like, what is wrong with you?
Stop it. Get some help.
He gets akumatized and the girls save the day, but Cat Noir is sad because he found out Alia and Nino know each other's identities when they're not supposed to. And then to add insult to injury for Cat Noir, that weekend on the 30th is Haxan. Marinette goes to see her aunt in London. She gives that Miraculous to Alia to use in case of emergency. Marinette is back the same day and goes to meet Cat Noir at the Trocadero. And before any of you ask, yes, the Rena Furtive storyline still makes sense in this order, and so does what Cat Noir finds out and what he doesn't find out, since he doesn't really talk about it, which I think is poor storytelling and poor writing. Note for the record, I think it's poor, but it makes my life easier, so thank you. Okay, so back into May. Marinette and Adrian have the week off and catch up on some homework, you know, after Wishmaker. That weekend is chilling. Now, Sabine does have a calendar in this episode, but I think it's a lunar calendar, not a solar calendar or a Gregorian calendar, which is what I'm using for this. But the dates in the show aren't accurate, so I would assume it's also wrong even for the lunar calendar, so I'd advise you to ignore it. Sabine goes to her painting class that morning. She gets akumatized after someone is racist to her on the bus, and then Sabine and Marinette head out to get dim sum. And then the day after is Simple Man on Sunday. And you're gonna ask, why is Cheelin first when it's episode 20 and Simple Man is 19? Because they both happen on a weekend. Cheelin is stated as being on a Saturday, and I was running out of weekends, so that's why. Okay, Marinette is babysitting. Adrian needs help at the Eiffel Tower. She gives the kids to Roland because she's famous for making bad choices. He's akumatized. They end the day watching the Miraculous movie. The 10th is day 1 of Ephemeral. That day Adrian is at the conference answering questions for his dad. There is an Akuma, but he can't go. And then Suhan confronts Ladybug in the sewers because he can't go to a house like a normal person but had no problem breaking it, entering in Furious Fu.
I don't know.
Adrian gets back late, sees he has a lot of missed messages, and goes to meet Ladybug at 1 AM at the top of the Eiffel Tower. So now we're early in the morning of the 11th for day 2. As we know, it is 1 AM, it says on her yo-yo. Now, I know at this point he tells her his identity and she finds out, and Gaby Baby becomes Shadow Cat Daddy and so on. But that no longer happens, it's been erased. Instead, before Cat Noir can tell her he's Adrian Agreste, the second chance sends things out of whack. They go to the space station to fix it, and then Suhan comes to speak to Marinette at the end of the episode. It ends very early that morning. So like with Cat Blanc, I've ignored what was erased and is no longer part of the timeline. The next day is the start of Kuroneko, which takes place over 3 days, which you can tell by the amount of sunsets that are in the episode. Day 1 is after school on the 12th. There are 2 simultaneous Akuma attacks. Adrian watches the first one on the news, then joins the second one just as they're done. He argues with Ladybug and rescinds his Miraculous. The next day, Adrian decides not to go to school because of how he's feeling, and to be honest, it seems like Marinette doesn't go either as she's trying to work out how to get a new Cat Noir. That evening, Claire convinces her to let him find this other boy Fu had picked, helps Adrian change his transformation. They fight Kuroneko that night, and then the day after, in either the morning or the evening, I'm not sure, sunrise and sunset look the same in the show, Ladybug and Cat Noir make up. The day after is Dearest Family. They say it's a Sunday, so it happens on a Sunday. As you can see, I was definitely running out of weekends here. It's Galette de Roi or Galette Day, and the Du Pencheng say they'll eat the last one tonight. But it is nowhere remotely near the night when they ate the last one, so I don't know what Roland's talking about. On Monday the 16th is Penalty. The class is at the stadium for like a football masterclass. Mark attends it even though he's not part of the class. Chloe's akumatized, the whole team take her on. Ends the same day. The day after, on the 17th, is Risk Day 1. Day 1, the team finish a fight and all part ways, and Gaby Baby akumatizes Froggy Boy. Day 2, by the time everyone wakes up in the morning, everyone has been infected with Risk. Adrian, he is told he's going on a worldwide perfume tour thing with Lila. He goes to school, they play prison ball, and at lunchtime he goes home to pack. As Marinette is telling everyone at lunchtime in the cafeteria that Adrian doesn't want to go, Felix is busy swapping places with him, and Marinette goes to fetch Adrian from the train, and the real Adrian heads back home just as Strike Back starts to attack. So same day, immediately following on is Strike Back. Ladybug abandons getting Adrian, Felix, for now, and she and Cat Noir fight Strike Back. Doesn't go well, so she gets other heroes like Multi-Mouse. Still doesn't go well, so then at that point she goes to get Adrian, Felix. They defeat Risk and Strike Back. Felix betrays her while she's in Adrian's bathroom, and the episode ends with Ladybug and Cat Noir on the Trocadero and Parisians cheering for them while the rest of the cast stares very angrily up at the sky. Okay, so we know Evolution picks up right away from Strike Back. Bunnix arrives and they follow her into the burrow, and Ladybug and Cat Noir manage to get the Rabbit Miraculous back and send Alex off to chill with the dinosaurs. Multiplication then starts. This is such a stressful day. Suhan arrives and argues with them and hops all the way to Tibet, as you do. Ladybug and Cat Noir try and see Felix, but he's not home in London. Ladybug and Cat Noir fly back to Paris, and Alia comes over for a sleepover. And from this point is where I think we can start disagreeing. So the order I've put it in, and I do believe it's the correct order, but you can disagree. So Adrian goes to talk to his dad about not being a model anymore, which we see in Multiplication. Then he calls Marinette to let her know and thanks her for the advice. Natalie comes home after that and she sees Adrian is safe and in bed. I love how she didn't question how he got off the train. She's like, he's home, I don't care. Don't care how he got here, he's here. That's all I need to know. Then Alia leaves Marinette's room to get some snacks, which we see in Destruction, and Gabriel is downstairs in the murder basement shouting at the Kwamis. Why he keeps going up and downstairs is beyond me. He then follows all the clues and ends up at Marinette's house, Cat Noir Cataclysm's Monarch Daddy at the Grevin Museum, and then Marinette talks through the plan and all the steps she made with Alia, which is when the Reverse special starts. Because it starts then because to me, at the end of Destruction, Marinette and Alia are in the same position, they're sat on the chaise talking, and they're there again in the opening of the Reverse special, which is why I've put the multiplication scene of FaceTiming Adrian before Destruction. And Gabriel is also wandering around the manor injured in the opening of the Reverse special, so it does also seem like it just happened. However, two things. In the opening of the Reverse special, Marinette's parents are downstairs in the lounge, so they were presumably there in Destruction too because the Reverse special starts right after it, but they didn't seem to hear Monarch in her room. He makes quite a bit of noise, so okay. And also on the call in Multiplication, Adrian is in his pyjamas and has gone to bed when Natalie gets home, but in the opening of the Reverse special, Adrian is watching TV out of bed and is fully dressed in his normal clothes. I don't know why he makes these decisions, and by he, I mean Thomas Astruc, not Adrian. Although I'm not 100% certain of this timeline for the day. I think it's correct, but I could be wrong. I am certain from Risk to Multiplication, the opening of Multiplication, but after that, a little bit unsure, because in the scene in Multiplication when Adrian goes to talk to his dad, he's drawing and he itches his arm, and it is the arm that gets cataclysmed. Now it could just be an itch, but it does therefore point to that scene taking place after Destruction. However, in that scene Gabriel is designing, and in the Reverse special in the opening, he seems to be in too much pain to do something like that. After the cataclysm he goes to Adrian's room, but he decides against going in. So if Adrian had just come to him to tell him he wants to stop being a model, why wouldn't he go in? So I don't know. And also, like I said, in Alia and Marinette's opening Reverse special scene, they're still in the same position as the end of Destruction. And are talking about what's just happened. So to me, the timeline is Risk, Strike Back, Evolution, the opening of Multiplication up until Natalie comes home and Adrian's call. Adrian then gets out of bed and gets changed for reasons that are beyond my realm of understanding. All of Destruction, and then the Reverse special starts. So Hesperia, Shadybug and Claw Noir come through Ubiquity, they fight, and by the time it's all over, the sun is starting to come up. Like I said, sunset and sunrise look the same in Miraculous, so it's really hard to tell them apart. There isn't a way to tell them apart unless they state it's the morning, like they do in the Reverse special. And by the end of the special, it's almost time for the girls to get up for school, which if I were them, I would not have been going to school. It's been an incredibly emotional, like 18 hours. I'd have had no sleep, absolutely not, call in sick, take a day off. So the bulk of all of that happens on the 18th of May, otherwise known as hell. And then the Reverse crosses over into the very early morning the next day on the 19th. And then the rest of Multiplication picks up at a more sociable hour on the 19th. Right before school, Adrian is trying to kiss Marinette on the cheek, and then in Mr. Class, Mr. Cubdell announces where Alex is and what she's doing, which is totally a safe thing for him to do. Why didn't he just lie and say she's gone to study abroad? I don't get it. And now you can see the calendar just says MP, which just stands for Multiplication, from the 20th to the 27th, and that is basically just the montage we see, which includes Ladybug and Cat Noir patrolling, Milen and Ivan doing yoga, Ali and Nina learning how to fight with Nora, and the Alliance creation ring. It all just kind of happens in those days, and we all know there's no Akuma attacks in that period either. However, Nadia does say at the end of the montage it's been like 2 weeks since the last Akuma attack, and I'm like, Nadia, I'm sorry, I don't have enough time to give you that long. You get a week though, a solid week, but no more than a week. So, and then on the 27th, where it says MPN, so Multiplication End, Tomoe is akumatized with a mouse Miraculous just as the kids are arriving at school, and by the end of the day, the Alliance rings are launched. Is that enough time for that to feasibly happen with the rings? No, probably not, but we only have time until the 6th of July to finish this thing, so they're gonna have to go into mass production mega early and just get it done, okay? That Sunday on the 29th is a jubilation. To me, this is a weekend episode. Marinette's taking her time, you know. She goes to see Soculene, she is targeted because Ladybug wears her Alliance by accident, and Mr. Damocles is akumatized. The day after, on Monday, is Illusion. It's a school episode, hence a Monday, and Gabriel's Illusion is akumatized after the kids throw food at him.
Oh, am I bit clumsy.
On to June. On the 1st is determination, which seems to take place after school. Adrian is at school for fencing, and like I said, the school is always open. He rings Marinette for a date, and they agree to a date at the museum, but he doesn't tell her what time, which is really helpful to me. Thanks, Adrian. And it ends with Marinette crying after the Akuma attack outside the museum. The day after is passion. Alia and Marinette have had another sleepover and are talking about Adrian before school as Marinette leaves for school in her pajamas before she realises. So Alia stayed over the night after determination ended. Adrian goes to talk to Natalie for girl advice before school, but she starts coughing. He goes to school, gets worried and talks to Marinette about it. Natalie gets akumatized whilst they're in class that morning, and that evening Marinette tells Alia about all of it at the sleepover. And like, Alia, just move in at this point. You know what I mean? She's there so much. And Natalie and Adrian talk about girls again, and Adrian is in his pajamas, so it's in the evening. Reunion is Saturday the 4th. Adrian says it's in the afternoon, but I think it's the weekend as Ali and Marinette are at the Louvre before the afternoon to find Alex's letters, which triggers the event in the afternoon, so it seems to take place the whole day, and it ends when Plag spits on Adrian. The day after, on Sunday, is elation. It starts in the evening and Alia is there for another sleepover. Have your parents chucked you out? Go home, Alia. The girls argue, so Cat Noir kidnaps Marinette, yeah, as you do. They kiss on Swan Island. She almost gets akumatized, and Andre does instead because he's Chief Lady Noir shipper, whereas I am Chief Adrianette shipper. He is my arch nemesis. And it ends with that night, with them just deciding to be friends.
She's just a friend.
I then decided to put transmission the day after on the 6th. Due to Marinette's low mood from the end of elation, I don't think she would have gone to school in the meantime. So Adrian comes over to give her schoolwork. They argue, rescind Miraculous, he comes over again. They sort of start dating. At the same time, Nora is annoying her only friend in the whole world who gets akumatized, and Scarabella and Kitty Noir sort it out. But of course they wore their alliance, so Monarch Daddy knows who they are. And deflagration happens on the same day. And before someone says, hey, that's not possible, I know it's not, but it's gonna have to be. And it is possible if we give the kids a free period. Now, I don't know if free periods are a thing in France. They aren't really a thing at British high schools, or at least not the high school I went to. They were at college and they are at university, but not in high schools here. So I don't know if it's a thing in France, but it suddenly is now because no one thought this through when they wrote it. Thanks. Congratulations. Just because of the way the two episodes are set up, it can't all be achieved in the space of a lunch break, so they do kind of need a free period. So stick with me here. So class first thing in the morning with Miss Bustier. Marinette isn't there, Adrian leaves to give her work. The kids on their free period before lunch have a party thinking Adrianette is happening. It's not, they're arguing. Rescind Miraculous. Adrian goes back to Marinette's because he rescinds the Miraculous in his bedroom. Alia and Zoe get the Miraculous. Defeat Bibu. Alia then goes right home after the Akuma, hence why we know it's the same day, and Marinette is there to talk to her about it. I doubt she would have waited till the day after. She goes right away. And Chloe also makes Zoe clean her shoes after she tries to get Cheese to recharge Plag, who is tired after the battle he has just helped to fight. Chloe, Zoe, Marinette, Adrian and Alia all head back to school. They have a resistant meeting in the boiler room. Then it's time for lunch, which is where Adrian and Marinette have their dates, which is why we also kind of need that free period to fit it all in, and Zoe feeds Plag. Like I said, in his scene with Zoe in the hotel in Deflagration, he is hungry from the battle he has just fought. And I highly doubt Zoe's going to wait a whole day without feeding Plag, so it points to it being the same day, and again, Alia arriving home right after the Akuma and Marinette coming to talk to her also points to it the same day. And also after the Akuma attack at the same time, Gaby Baby does his music number, which, fun fact, is the only part of season 5 that made me cry. And he starts his attack right away. It all seems to happen on the same day. So while I don't think it should be possible, and while I definitely think if I had written this I would have put them on 2 consecutive days, it's written as if it all happens one after the other. So they happen on the same day. I don't make the decisions. Okay. So Monarch Daddy attacks Zoe and Alia in the toilets because he's a totally normal guy. Marinette and Adrian fight him and they meet up that night as Ladybug and Cat Noir after covering Monarch Daddy in sauce and also discovering he turned the Miraculous into rings, but then they never mention it again.
Okay.
Perfection is the 9th, there's an Akuma that afternoon, then after school the kids head out to the boat and Kagami is akumatized, it ends that night. Migration is next, and again weekend energy on Saturday the 11th. Bob Ross nearly drowned several times and Luca leaves at the end of the episode. The day after is Derision, again this feels like a weekend to me, and Adrian also rings Marinette to make sure she's awake and up and ready for their date, so it can't be a school day if they go to the pool in the morning, unless their date is planned for 6 AM, but if a man tried to take me on a date at 6 AM, we wouldn't be dating anymore, so I really hope it is the weekend. Honestly, the episode is quite short in terms of what it contributes to the timeline, since a bulk of the episode is spent in a flashback of the previous school year, but we're not talking about the previous school year for this video. So Adrian and Marinette go on a date. Kim reminds her of traumatizing events. Kim is akumatized. He apologizes. Intuition is on the 15th. It is a school day and they're asking Claudie questions about her job. If we take all of the second chances out, since they do get a raise, same with like Cat Blank and Ephemeral, it's actually over pretty quickly, and it seems that evening at sunset, Ladybug and Cat Noir are like, oh my god, I can't believe Monarch Daddy has never used second chance. You wouldn't know if he has. Hence why you don't know that he has. Protection is that weekend over for 2 days. First day is on a Saturday. The kids try their Adrianette plan, but it ends badly. The day after, Adrian invites Marinette over for a date and Kagami is akumatized, and it ends with Kagami confronting Lila at sunset. Adoration is a whole day, which seems to be a school day, but Marinette and Zoe are exempt from going to class as they got to organise the end of year party, and they also say it's 2 weeks until the end of the school year, and oh my god, look at that. It's 2 weeks until the end of the school year. I'm just amazing. So proud of myself. The only dates that matter in this timeline, okay, are Christmas and the academic year. Alright, I've taken those seriously. Everything else, forget it though. It ends that night after Zoe confesses to Marinette, which is adorable. I don't even ship it, but I love that scene. Marinette tells Adrian she loves him, they go to kiss, and Gabriel says no.
No.
On the 24th is Emotion, so it begins like late afternoon, early evening with Adrian and Marinette on Swan Island. He leaves to the Diamond Dance, Marinette goes to join them, Felix's attack is that night. It ends the next morning with Adrian, Marinette, and Kagami getting ice cream, and Lila goes to beat up some gates. Pretension is the next day on Sunday the 26th. Adrian and Kagami go fencing, like I said, the school is always open, even on a Sunday. Marinette comes to meet them, she confronts Gabriel. At the same time, Felix is busy kidnapping Kagami, and it ends later that day with Kagami and Felix in the cinema. Revelation is a whole day on the 27th, it's this whole school day. It could be split up over 2 days, but everyone seems shocked about the alliance changing from Lila to Kagami at the same time, so it seems to happen on the same day. It starts super early in the morning with Lila at Sabine's painting class when the alliance changes, and then after that school starts, like I said, very early for the painting class. School starts, everyone is discussing said change, and Lila is akumatized and voted in as class rep by the end of the day. And at the same day, after school, is when action starts. I get a lot of questions about this episode because it's 527, but Gabriel's alive in it, so it takes place before Chloe is met in Collusion and Revolution, but after Adrian and Marinette have started dating in Deflagration, so Gabriel is still around. And it also takes place over several days. So day 1 after school in Revelation, Adrian is giving Marinette a Mandarin lesson and Nino calls them to the boat to explain the problem. On the 28th we have Confrontation Day 1. They all give their forms to Lila, and after school Sabrina redoes them all. She calls Marinette during the resistance meeting in the boiler room. Then the kids go to Montparnasse Tower to talk to Bertrand King, and when they're not successful they have meetings with the mayor, Gabriel and Nadia, but nothing changes. On the 29th at school, Adrian gives his form to Lila, and presumably at lunchtime she has the meetings with the teachers. Julika is akumatized when she hears the outcome, Lila is exposed, and don't worry about Lila or Cerise's identity in action. She's not in action, so it doesn't affect it at all, so don't worry about it. And again, after school when this has all happened, the kids then shoot their advert on the boat that we see in action. Marinette says in the advert that for the past few days they've been trying to change things, hence why it needs to take place over a few days. The following day, on the 30th, we see Nadia's news broadcast, and she says yesterday this advert was broadcast illegally. She doesn't say that. Bertrand King sees it and he is akumatized, and after the akuma on the same day he decides to be a better person. Yes, on the same day, because I didn't have any more time to spare. And now we're on the home stretch! Woo, my throat! Collusion is Friday the 1st of July. It's a school day and Chloe causes Miss Bustier to be fired, which results in her Akuma. Ladybug and Cat Noir fight Miss Sans Culotte and Chloe becomes mayor at the end of the day. On Saturday the 2nd is Chloe's first day as mayor in Revolution. She does an interview with Nadia and gets akumatized. We then move to Monday the 4th, so yeah, she spends the whole weekend akumatized. The kids come to school, but Chloe has changed the curriculum. Do they not have any end of year exams to sit? I sound like Hermione Granger.
Also, in light of the recent events, as a school treat, all exams have been cancelled.
The population of Paris goes gradually missing over the course of the day, and that night Ladybug and Cat Noir fight Chloe outside the Louvre and level up their powers. Adrian is then taken to the airport as the kids are getting ready for the dance, and when I say the kids I only mean Marinette, she's the only one to put in any effort. Adrian calls her, Marinette runs to the airport, they kiss. Chloe then calls Marinette, they argue, and Chloe is taken away by her abusive mother. Right after, on the same day, Marinette heads to the Eiffel Tower for the party and representation, but Felix, who she thinks is Adrian, lures her to the school after picking up Kagami. Before anyone says, Hayes, it's night in Paris for the party, but sunset in London where Felix gets Kagami. It's an hour behind, besties. London's an hour behind. That's totally fine. So Gabriel Babes akumatizes himself and Cat Noir fights him while Marinette watches the weird play. When did they rehearse this? I don't know. Also, whose terrible idea was this in the writing room? Also do not know. Marinette sleeps in the art room and heads home on the 5th. Like I said, the school is always open. Felix takes Kagami back to London just as the sun is rising in England, and Adrian leaves Paris as well back for London, and Ladybug goes to cleanse the Akuma. Then she presumably goes to school because the 5th is the last day of the school year in 2016 for France. On the 6th is confirmation, which literally opens with Nadia being like, it's the first day of the summer holiday.
It's the first day of summer break in Paris.
And at the same time, Gaby Baby is giving people nightmares, which I'm not surprised in that outfit, and Marinette wakes up and is like, oh my god, Adrian from her nightmare, which is the reason she goes to the Agrest Mansion. Not because of what she learnt in representation, where she learnt the identity of Monarch Daddy a whole last 24 hours ago. She did nothing about it. Plag zooms across the English Channel, finds Marinette in a cupboard in the kitchen once the Miraculous arrived, and she transforms in front of Gabriel Babes. Recreation picks up immediately, and Marinette and Gabriel fight as Natalie is upstairs dying, and the other kids are fighting in Paris with the help of the New York and Shanghai special cast, whilst Felix is asleep, presumably. I don't know what he was doing. Yeah, he wanted to defeat his uncle so badly, he was like, you know, I'm gonna sit this one out, you do this. Weirdo. Gaby Baby wins though, and he makes his wish. And we pick up in August, as it's just a few days before the return to school, which in 2016 in France was Thursday the 1st of September. Now, there's no way to tell exactly when it happened, it just says a few days. So for that reason, I have put the ending scenes of Recreation on my birthday, the 27th of August. Why? Because this has been an absolute nightmare.
What a nightmare!
And I deserve it, okay, after all the work I've put into this. And I also have an intrinsic need for everyone to know my birthday because I have an elevated sense of self-importance, and I do expect you all to remember my birthday now as the ending scene of Recreation, okay? So let's say in the morning the kids have the pool party, they get changed, and Adrian and Marinette have their scene in the garden. After lunch, Marinette and Alia go to hers and meet Suhan to finish sorting out the Miraculous. Now she's changed them back, how she did that, don't know. Ladybug hands them out, and before the evening the Avengers assemble on the Trocadero, and Lila calls Mr. Damocles from the catacombs. And let me tell you, I went to the Miraculous movie premiere, but the day before I was in the catacombs in Paris. And you cannot get signal down there, so I don't know how she did that. But anyway, besties, that is the full episode timeline. But we're not done yet, we're almost done, I promise, but we're not quite done yet. Let's go over the birthdays and other dated events. Now we know when the episodes happen. So we have Nathaniel's birthday in Evil Illustrator the 10th of September, Adrian on the 1st of October in The Bubbler, Alex the 26th of October in Timebreaker, Miss Bustier the 9th of December in Zombie Zoo, Marinette on the 13th of December in Bafana, Nuru's birthday in Samboy on the 5th of January, Marinette's uncle on the 12th of January in the Shanghai special, Tom's birthday in Bakerix on the 23rd of January, Prince Ali's birthday on the 28th of March from Truth and Lies, and then Luca and Julika on the 16th of April from Crocodile. I am not sure how old everyone is. Marinette and Adrian are of course 14, but they say Alex is 15 and Julika and Luca seem to be a year above everyone else, so I would assume they're turning 15, 16 as well. So yeah, fun times. Then the events. Valentine's Day in this world takes place on the 16th of September. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, same here, 24th and 25th of December. St. Athanasius Day is the 8th of March in Cat Blanc, and Galette de Loire on the 15th of May for Dearest Family. Also, interestingly, in Risk, Nino never mentions it again, but he says Adrian going on this tour, he's gonna miss his birthday. So Nino's birthday takes place at some point in season 5, but it's never mentioned, so I'm not sure when. And as for the events, there are some other made-up events like Friendship Day in Akari Gozen and Heroes Day in Catalyst and Mayura. However, I do think Bastille Day is pretty accurate, so I do believe it's in Collusion, because Miss Sans-Culottes' outfit is the colours of the French flag. Cat Noir was like, oh, it's Bastille Day coming up. Bastille Day takes place on the 14th of July, and Collusion is on the 1st of July. So it does actually seem that Bastille Day could be the same day as it takes place in the real world, but the show ends before Bastille Day and picks up a whole month later. So I have no way knowing for certain if Bastille Day is on the same day as it is in this world. Okay, so now we will try and plot where all the Mr. Pigeon Akumas happen, and we will start with the ones we know for sure. So the first Mr. Pigeon happens on 18th of September, and look at this adorable pigeon emoji I found on the internet, so cute. The next time we see him is in Time Tagger, where we are told he's akumatized the 24th time at the start of the episode and again at the end, which is the 25th time, like someone at the TV station keeping a tally on a board somewhere of this. And then in the New York special, he is akumatized for the 51st time. And you'll notice before that there is a pigeon on day 1 of Rise of the Sphinx before it, and in the game they say it is Mr. Pigeon 68. I will explain again, okay? The events of Rise of the Sphinx directly contribute to Chloe's Akuma in Miracle Queen in the season 3 finale. It is confirmed to take place before it has to take place before it, but after Party Crasher, as Party Crasher is referenced in the game. And the New York special happens after it. We know the New York special is confirmed to take place after season 3, and Lucanet and Adragami being items in the special right at the start also confirm it, as those two relationships start at the end of Miracle Queen. But as the New York special opens with Mr. Pigeon 51, Rise of the Sphinx cannot possibly be Mr. Pigeon 68. So Mr. Pigeon Akuma does happen at the start of Rise of the Sphinx, but it's not Mr. Pigeon 68, it is Mr. Pigeon 49. It's a mistake, the same way Adrian has a birthday, again, in Rise of the Sphinx. Of course, the episode Mr. Pigeon 72 is his 72nd Akuma, and the next time we see him is in Perfection in season 5 for presumably Mr. Pigeon 73, but they never confirm the number, and we don't see any other Mr. Pigeons between Mr. Pigeon 72 and Perfection. So these are the only occasions we know for certain he is akumatized. So now I am going to guess the rest of them. You can absolutely disagree with me on this. There is no way to prove where these take place. The only thing I'm using to work this out is seeing how much time there is around the other episodes to fit all this in. So let's go.
It's go time.
So between Mr. Pigeon 1 and Time Tagger for 24 and 25, I spread them on days when no Akumas were happening. So the 29th of September, 3rd of October, 6th of October, 15th, 19th, 23rd and 31st. Yep, we get one on Halloween. Why not? Mr. Pigeon on Halloween, yes please. November the 5th, the 7th, the 16th, 22nd, 25th. December 3rd, 7th, 11th, 19th, 22nd, 27th. January 10th, 14th and 29th, as well as February the 5th. But between Time Tagger and New York Special, we don't have as much time to get from 25 to 51, so you either have to double up Mr. Pigeon Akumas or have them happen after the events of an episode or before if there is time for it. So Time Tagger is 24 and 25. Then we have one with Desperado, one on the 16th, two on the 19th, one after they get back to Paris for Star Train. 2 on the 23rd, 2 on the 26th, 1 on the 27th before the events of Animaestro, 1 on Gamer 2.0 after the events of the episode, 2 on Tuesday the 1st of March, 2 on the 5th, 1 on the 6th after the events of Akari Gozen, 2 on the 7th, 2 on the 9th, 2 on the 11th, 1 on the 13th. Rise of the Sphinx one is the one that happens, which is Mr. Pigeon 49. Mr. Pigeon 50 is on Monday the 21st of March, which leaves us with Mr. Pigeon 51 for the New York special. And now you're probably wondering, we've come to the gap between the New York Special and Mr. Pigeon 72. So New York Special, Mr. Pigeon 51, Truth and Lies has one Mr. Pigeon in them, and then we have Mr. Pigeon 72. So in between the 22nd of March and the 31st of March, there are 21 Mr. Pigeon akumatizations that we have to fit in. So Marinette, Adrian, I am so sorry, but this is what happens when you don't plan properly. Okay? So I would assume for New York, they fly back immediately in the morning. They are back in Paris by late afternoon, and as we see in Time Tagger, it doesn't take that much effort to defeat Mr. Pigeon anymore, so they're able to do it very quickly, and each Kuma battle lasts about 10 minutes. So if that is the case, they can defeat him pretty quickly. So on the day they get back from New York, they have to defeat Mr. Pigeon 8 times. They have one referenced in Truth, which is already on here, and then another one after the events of that first day of Truth, 2 more on the second day of Truth, 2 more first thing in the morning, and then 4 more around Adrian and Kagami arguing at fencing. We also have 2 for Ganga Secret, so I'm envisioning 1 early in the morning and then 1 after. 72nd one for Mr. Pigeon 72, and then again, the last one on Perfection for Mr. Pigeon 73. I don't know for certain if it is the 73rd Akuma, but we aren't shown any in between or none are mentioned in between, so I think it's the 73rd, but I could be wrong. So that is absolutely everything. I gave that my absolute all. I have spent 5 months thinking about pigeons and worrying about making sure episodes set in the Louvre don't happen on a Tuesday, but I am very happy I did this. And now I will dedicate the majority of my time to preparing for my PhD Viva to pass and become a doctor. Like, look at this thing, look how thick this thing is. I have to memorise this whole thing. Absolutely no way that's going to happen. So I'm going to focus on that and not get stressed about non-existent basketball matches and a blonde boy with banana hair having 2 birthdays in the same year. And like I said at the start of the video, I have tried my best, but I'm only one person. I will have made mistakes. I know there will be mistakes. It's not a maybe, it's a yep, there are mistakes, but I've been doing this for 5 months and I just can't see them anymore. There will be mistakes, so if you spot one, no matter how big or small, please tell me and I will add any corrections to a pinned comment. I want this to be as accurate as possible. I think that's all I have to say, and I mean that literally because I think this afternoon I'll be attending the funeral for my voice. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to go for a nap. I'd love to know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!